No, I thought what Stevie says was spot on. You take Kamara off for that.
There's two flip sides of that coin, isn't there?
I understand with the card, mate, but you've got to trust your player. You've got to trust him, mate. Do you know what I mean? You have to trust him.
He's not exactly getting the greatest when he loses at Bridge. He's not exactly getting the greatest record, is he?
No,
he's he's a bit petulant. Is a word I would look for. No, I was going to say bad.
Just quickly, Stardog. If he'd have scored the winner, made a sign to the crowd, he most likely get a second booking.
Exactly. I'd take it.
Exactly.
I would attain it because I think we're well equipped to deal in games without him now. You know, I'm not saying we don't need him. I'm just saying for that one game, I would have taken his goal to get the 3 points, mate. As selfish as that sounds, even though we'd have missed the next game.
You know, I think the managers took him off, and I'm not being funny when I say it. I think he's taken him off for his own benefit. I think it was for his own, of course, with Rangers in mind as well, because the last thing we need is to be able to the next game we're playing at Ibrox. Can we go in? We can't go in the park with Alfredo Morelos. They got a red card, 2-game ban, or maybe a 3-game, or maybe a 4-game ban after that mob.
I reckon that's your first booking this season, mate. 4 games. That's
there you go.
Startup.
There you go.
That's got to be some sort of record, by the way.
I've not checked that. I just can't remember anybody else being booked.
No,
but
I'm
you know,
the same,
Oxshare, it's quite right because we're the cleanest team by far. By far, we're the cleanest team in the league. And we're the victims in a lot of it, you know.
Your team quit Bridgeman and the Choir boys, wasn't it?
Aye, that's correct. But I'm not being funny when I say that our players try to play football. There's not very many of them dirty players. Sometimes they get caught late and they give the free kick away, maybe even get booked, well, who knows, you know. But it's not very often.
Bridge?
Sorry?
Are they too honest, though, do you think? Do you think the team's too honest?
I think that's the eye, what do you call it, the beauty's in the eye of the beholder, and I think that's probably what it is. Some folk will see the way Rangers play as a blessing in disguise. We don't get very many bookings and blah, 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 blah. But when we do, we see how ridiculous some of these bad decisions have been in the past against Rangers. And we got to the point where no matter what happened, you start to gauge that. So if some other team doesn't get it, you turn in and say, well, there you go. If that had been Morelos, that would have been a red card or a booking or something like that.
Fox made that point when I was chatting to him about the guy Devlin. The guy Devlin had a similar outburst to Morelos about a decision. I think it was in the first half. Yeah. He never got a booking.
If your face fits.
Well, I think you need to watch some of these players and the way their attitude towards the game and the opponents in the game. And there's not very many of them got anywhere near a half decent attitude towards our players. It could easily be murder in some cases, you know. They're just really over the top tackles, you know, for some poor tackles against Rangers in these first 4 games of the season. Some very poor tackles. Well, to me, a terrible decision at Ibrox when a guy kicked, absolutely booted that boy, knee 10. And it kicked him, the ball was past him and he kicked him. It was like Anton Rogan. And the referee never even gave a free kick to us. Nothing.
Well, it was in the box, so there had to have been a
I'm saying that. Yeah, it's just nonsense, utter nonsense. And then that one the other night.
Calm down.
Oh, I'm sorry. I go mad.
Go on through the BBC and start down quick. We'll send them over the edge. What about the BBC Bridge?
Shockers, by the way.
Shockers.
What about the media Bridge?
You guys have probably seen more of them than I have. I haven't seen them and I haven't heard any comments to them.
Leave it, Bridge.
Bridgeman, the BBC's been all air old rod. They've been reporting it everywhere, so they have. Rangers slip up at Livingston.
Not interested in anything they've got to say about
Leave him alone, Stardog. That's a limit.
I know. I'll stop now. He's bit the bait, isn't he?
I'll mention your Achilles heel.
Listen, I've got pictures to prove you otherwise. I've got the photographic evidence here. I'll see you in court.
I've got a picture that proves you're wrong, mate.
I'll see you in court.
It's your own picture.
No.
It was a selfie.
Port Bear agrees with me.
No, well, listen, we all know if anything does happen, the L Dutch has got me covered, so we're all right.
Listen, I'm willing to take part in that, mate. Chip in, make sure everyone's all right. Get you a nice Castore hat.
Oh, aye. I'll start a GoFundMe page for Castore hats.
I was speaking to Big Stephen from Drum Chapel this morning, giving him his Sunday name, yes, and he was over.
Okay.
I hope he was in the skiving work. No, I think he took a half shift. He once again was over at Ibrox, and the queues were starting to get right down the Govan stand again this morning.
Is that right?
Aye. So
That's
there's been slight
one of
hiccups
the boys
and
was down
different
there,
things.
Oxford, as well.
What's that, mate?
One of the boys was down there, mate. He went up there the other day with his boy. I think it was actually Sunday. And he said it was 2 hours again, but he came up with an absolute barrel load of stuff, and he couldn't be happy with the gear that they're selling out there, mate. He said it's second class to none, honestly. He's so delighted with the stuff that they're selling, the taps. I think he came away with 3 taps. His boy got 2, and he got the home one, and his boy got the 2 away ones. Absolutely delighted with the stuff they're getting, mate. But aye, like you say, the queues are still there, which is a great thing for the club, isn't it?
Aye, fantastic. Folks, that was mine. I've turned it off, mate. Sorry about that. Aye, fantastic. But I mean, there's been the odd one that slips through the net, and then people are maybe complaining and moaning. It's been a fantastic job what they've done in such a short space of time at this particular time in the world for Stardog, to get the stuff on the shelves, to get the designs done, to have all the bits and pieces, all the training taps and all that, etc. Look, they've done a good job, and just hope the quality does match their name.
Aye. Well, I personally, mate, I don't think us as fans, we could have asked for much more. No, I've honestly not seen any bad complaints about the quality of the taps or the hoodies or the zippers or the hats or nothing like that, mate. And for what I'm seeing, or the strips that they've made and designed as well for the Rangers strips, I absolutely love them, mate. I think I've already spoke about the away one. It's nothing that I could think it was similar. I know you've got one in mind, mate. It was kind of similar to one back in 99, 2000, I think you said it was. But the black and orange one's my favourite, mate. That runs away with it this year for me.
Right, I'll tell you what we're going to do then. We're going to have a chat, but before we do that, mate, we're going to have to open the phone round. So what's the number? Stardog.
The number is 0141 356 1972.
Can you just give me that again?
The number is 0141 356 1972.
Or join us at Skype at rangersradio.online. We've brought in the call when you can talk to Stardog and Bridgeman. We've got a caller in right away. Evening, caller.
It's Big Stevie for the drum. I need to go. That's me just getting served. Cheerio, mate.
He's left. He's went. He's left. That's brilliant for Stevie. Well done, Stevie.
Unbelievable, isn't it? Unbelievable. Is he out at Ibrox?
No, he's taking the P, Bridge.
Okay, Bridgeman.
All right, easy boys.
He's taking the P.
I'm recovering.
That was a good job. That was a good.
Oh man! Between the chief executive before the show and Stevie and the first caller, that's brilliant.
Aye, well, that was about. I would say it was about 11 o'clock. I spoke to him, Bridge, today.
Where was he when he was speaking to you? Was he actually at work?
No,
he was at the back of the queue.
He was in the queue at Ibrox. I knew there was a queue at Ibrox somewhere, so my apologies. Right, so he was over there today.
And that's him just getting served.
That's the joke he's making.
That's why I said that, so forgive me.
That was a good gene, wasn't it, Stardog?
Oh, that was brilliant, mate, honestly. I hope he comes back in once that woman serves him.
Oh dear. So it's been officially announced that Ross McCrorie's left the club. I think he'll go with. Obviously, he's went to a team that we've not got the greatest connection with, but I think he'll go with everybody's best wishes. Stardog.
100% Oxford. He goes with my best wishes, mate. I liked him as a player. I don't think he did overly too much wrong, mate, when he was in the Rangers team. But again, you could probably, I know we're going to talk about Docherty as well. It's probably the consistency thing, mate. You never seen these boys getting a consistent run in the team. But I'm absolutely delighted, mate, because I'll tell you for why. There's been many a player early years at Ibrox that have been willing to sit on that bench and just collect a wage, mate. He's not willing to do that. He wants to go there and make it and better his career. And you've got to credit the boy for that, mate. You know, I think he's a top player. he'll bring a great service to Aberdeen, mate. I really do. I think he'll be good for them, but I don't think he was good enough for us, Oxchair. I don't think he was what we were looking for.
I liked the boy Bridgman. I liked him. I thought he was a real great competitor as a young man. He came in the team. God, he even played in goals for us once, didn't he?
Aye, he did.
Before his brother. He got one with his brother, didn't he? I liked the boy. He played with a heart. When I first seen him, I never thought he was a centre-back. He just lacked that wee bit of physicality to get into your realms. But I thought that he could have maybe ended up there later in his career. I thought his position looked for me for right back. Then we used him in defensive midfield. And he's some good games for us, particularly against that mob. But it's just his awareness and his distribution wasn't quite what we were looking for. But when he did break into the team, I had high hopes for him. And I wish him all the best, Bridgman.
Yeah, 100% agree with that. 100%. He was a very good fullback, played for us, and the few appearances he got, he did very well. His role at centre half, or indeed sort of central midfield, defensive mid, he seemed to be taking that on, and then you saw maybe one or two tackles from him that made it look really bad. And of course, he was in the end of a couple of bad tackles too. But I think that was, let's call it the second touch was a tackle for him.
His enthusiasm. He had that where he had to go and it's the youthfulness, Bridge, you know yourself.
Absolutely, pal. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. People learn and they don't go. I mean, he'll develop. He's still relatively young, but you're right that he was getting himself into tackles and situations where he was either going to get injured or sent off. There was no intent.
No, I think he got to. Did he not get a red card? I can't remember. Maybe against
sent off against. It was Bridgman. That's exactly who it was. It was St Mirren at Ibrox in Gerrard's first season, wasn't it? And he never get back in the team after that. Really?
And that's because it's just because he was lunging. You could see him. He was a yard. It was a yard slow getting to the ball in the first place, and it was one of these stupid. I'll control. It's no problem. And the ball battered away from him maybe 2 yards, and he's lunging then because he's giving the ball away.
I thought the managers before Gerrard, there was a lot of them when they 30 him because they were wanting the boy, and he was a boy at the time. He'd do a man's work. He'd have needed. I bet you Franco Paresi couldn't have played next to that Russell Martin, mate.
No, I have to say you're probably right. Franco Paresi would probably have walked off.
Aye.
He'd probably said to the manager, "I'm sorry, I can't play with that guy."
Yeah.
You're speaking about the greatest centre half there's ever been, by the way.
Apart for yourself, of course.
But see when you're speaking about daytimes and when he was flung into the team, when you look back, mate, I know the players that surrounded him were probably garbage, but at one point, mate, Ross McCrorie was the shining light for us, wasn't he? We all thought that at one point he was going to be the next big one breaking through, and obviously, unfortunately, it just didn't work for him, mate. But I think he'll be a fantastic number 6 for Aberdeen, mate. I know it's not really much interest to us what happens now, but I do honestly wish him all the best, and I do think he will become the player what I think he was. He just wasn't ready, mate.
Don't you think there's going to be a clash with the young lad Ferguson and Ross McCrorie?
I think they'll complement each other. No, because Lewis Ferguson will push. Yeah, Lewis Ferguson will push on now, and Ross McCrorie will do all his work rather than him having to do it all himself. Because I think that's why they signed the boy Bryson, but he's not really lived up to that. So I think that's where they're going with McCrorie and Ferguson. They'll be in the same team, mate. They'll be the 2 best players in that team this year.
You wonder how the Aberdeen fans that hate us so much with a team and a manager, Philip Burrow.
Do you know, Oxchair, I wish they'd shown Ryan Jack the same kind of courtesy as we're showing Ross McCrorie be gone there, because Ryan Jack got absolute dog's abuse when he left Aberdeen to come to us, didn't he?
And his family.
If Ryan Jack had gone any other team, they wouldn't have said a word to him. They wouldn't have said a word. Only because it's Rangers.
But Ross McCrorie, I think, if anybody thinks any different, he'll go with my best wishes. He's a boy, the way he always conducted himself, and he gave it his all. We couldn't take that away from him. I'm just going to check how many games he played for us. But he just didn't quite make it. And, he had a go, and he had the bollocks started to go and take him over a few times, and now he's went and done it again. So
100% Oxchair. We seen it last year, didn't we? He went to Portsmouth last year, and the manager liked him at first, but I think he got a couple of suspensions down there as well. And did he pick up an injury as well last season at some point that kept him out for a while? So he was unlucky, mate. Like you say, he put himself out there. He wanted to go and progress. He wanted to better his career. And I think that's just what it's came to, mate. He's not going to be getting the first team football that he obviously feels he deserves. And he's looking to move on, mate, and better his career. And you've got to credit the boy for that. You don't want players just sitting there taking a wage off the club. You really don't want folk like that, mate. So I credit to the boy, mate. And I'm like yourself. I wish him all the best.
Yeah. So can I ask a question on as far as he's going on loan for the rest of the season? Yeah.
Yep. With the option to buy.
That'll become permanent at the end of the season or start of next season. Excuse me.
Well,
is that right?
Technically, we've done Aberdeen a favour. As everybody knows, Bridgeman, they're pretty skint now. So what we've done is we've gave Ross McCrorie up there for a year's loan, and then when they get their European money in that at the end of next season, then that's probably when they'll pay. So we've essentially done Aberdeen, but I would class as a good turn. Oxshire, would you not say so?
Well, it's a way the modern transfer. I'm just looking at Ross's stats. 55 games, 19 as substitute, 36 starts, 2 goals, 8 yellows, 2 reds. Made his debut as a 19-year-old against Partick Thistle in 2017, really 3 years ago. So Kachina would have been the manager. We won 3-1. Somebody scored a good goal that night, I can't remember. And then he obviously... He was on the bench a bit, and then he never gets starts, but he wants to play. But the question I want to ask you is, and anybody that wants to join us, Stardog, right? Ross McCrorie, when he was a 17-year-old kid, was top of the tree. A 19-year-old kid, we had high hopes for him, but he's not getting into the first team. So the question that people will start to be asking, and I think it's been asked on here before, is... how do we get these youths? How do we get these promising boys? How do we get them into the first team?
Yeah. I think one of the main people that come on the radio, mate, that I've heard on here saying it plenty of times is actually Big Al, the global ambassador. He's actually beat this drum a few times, about development issues. What are these boys going to do then if they're not going to be cutting it at Rangers? Where are we going wrong? Because they seem to, we take control back off, we're winning trophies back off Celtic and things like that, mate. At youth level, we got a bit of respect back at youth level. And these boys, there's 5 or 6 of them, mate, not just Ross McCrorie, that were all picked to go and do better things. And we're seeing that. I think Glenn Middleton, for me, is a perfect example. Gerrard's first year he was in, he was used, he was getting goals, assists, the fans liked him. And then he fell away, mate, and then he went to Hibs, and I've just not seen much more of him after that really merits it. So something's happening, mate, between going for the under-20s to the reserves to that first-team break, and we don't know what's happening, but there's definitely something, because it's becoming a bit of a common occurrence, isn't it?
I've got my view on it, Bridge, but I'll let you come in first, mate.
Well, I think Stardog said words of wisdom there, that mostly everybody that's been on Rangers radio for the past 3 years during that time when the young lad was playing realise all these things. The both McCrories were real stars and still real star finds, and were due to become real big players for Rangers over the next whatever number of years. I would imagine that the goalkeeper, would be a wee bit longer, simply because it takes that much longer to build the base for a goalkeeper. Ross McCrorie was great expectations for him, and somehow or other, basically you can build on what we've just said earlier on about him. He had a couple of weaknesses that was noticeable, and that made the certain managers not quite like the finished article that he's supposed to be. And I don't think he's going to be a marvellous success at Aberdeen, but for me, Bridgeman, I wish him nothing but the best, because he is a Ranger. And let's see how he gets on. But I really don't see him making it there. I don't see it.
Well, we'll see on the time will tell, mate. I'll be honest with you, once he signs for Aberdeen, I don't wish him any success at all, mate. I don't know, you know what I mean?
Well, that's part and parcel of being a Rangers fan, mate, isn't it? You're not wanting Aberdeen to be doing well. Do you know what I mean? It's just you're just wishing him his best on his journeys now, mate. And then after that, it's nothing, isn't it? Really.
Okay, we've been joined by Gary. Evening, Gary. How we doing, brah?
I'm not too bad. How's yourselves?
All right, mate. All the better for hearing your good self. How's that with you?
Right, Gary.
All righty. Aye, that's us starting school, so no tears, so all good.
All right. What about my Maud? Does she have any?
Aye, and the grands.
Oh, dear. Brilliant. I take it she was coming home with all that cast door gear, sitting waiting for her.
Aye, that's it. Well, that and Barbies. So she's not quite caught into the Castor stuff yet.
Oh, stick to the Barbies, mate. Stick to the Barbies.
It's cheaper, aye, definitely cheaper anyway.
What's on your mind, Gaz?
I know he's obviously talking about Ross moving on and stuff, and I think our social media I've been taking a bit of a battering because I'd said it was a great bit of business for Rangers, not having a guy sitting just taking a wage and no being able to contribute to the team. Mm-hmm. I think it's something. If we're always pushing for this better quality, then we're going to have to keep shipping guys out, and if it's
Clearing
only
the decks, mate. Clearing the decks.
And as much as we're not wanting to strengthen teams in our league, if that's the only people that are wanting to take guys off our hands, then it's the best thing to do for the club all around, because if it clears enough wages away, then it could free up enough money for one good player to come into the team, if you know what I mean.
That's what looks like happening, mate. It looks as if we're waiting for the Doherty deal to be confirmed, but it looks as if that's close. We've heard rumours about Jamie Murphy. We've heard rumours about Jordan Jones. We've heard rumours about somebody else, I forgot about somebody else. Ross McCrorie, Doherty, Jamie Murphy, Jordan Jones, a bit of luck.
Barker.
Yeah. Obviously, somebody sent Hadji the weather forecast, and he thinks it's going to be too cold, and he's going to get him as well.
Yeah.
So, but I think we're clearing the decks, mate. To maybe it looks as if we're going to clear the decks to bring somebody in. It looks that way to me, because obviously they've got their eye on somebody, and they went to the board, and the boards went, well, okay, we'll go for him, and we can sign him, but you've got these 5 guys here, and none of them are kicking the ball and not going to kick a ball for us. So, come on, Ross Wilson, you need to do your job. Gary?
No, bang on. It's just I think he's spent probably most of his transfer money already with Hadji, Roof, and the new boy Itten. So, I mean, that's a fair whack of money spent. So, plus wages, whatever they're taking wages. So, the squad just can't continue like that. We just can't continue having guys like sitting in the reserves and stuff like that. If we're able to offload and they're willing to go, then I think it's the best thing all around for the team and the squad.
I'm glad you mentioned reserves. That's my theory. How we don't get people making that leap. But it's not just our club. There's a lot of clubs
everywhere.
People are doing it. Obviously, some people get their chances at other clubs maybe because of economics. And when you go back a few years, we had a lot of guys get a chance because of economics. But when you look at it, these guys aren't spending any time playing reserve football. They've got to go on loan. Rangers tried it to get the team into the Colts League, the Colts into the lower leagues, so that the young guys would get experience. And that would take them to a level for me that would be ready to play with men. And I think not having reserve football is a big, big mistake, mate.
It's almost a crime, probably, Oxford, because the amount of former football players, mate, that have come through and said, how much that benefited them. The prime example would be Barry Ferguson. He was in the Walter Smith 9-in-a-row team. He was in it. He was out it. And when he was out the team, he was playing in the reserve league, mate, and he was playing against guys that had 250 games under their belt experience, seasoned pros. I just think, Oxford, when you're coming through at Boys Club and you're going through that setup, it must be really, really boring playing the same boys every single year. You've got to mix it up, mate. Like you're saying, the reserve league would I think it would work wonders, mate, for not just Rangers, but for Scottish football in general. You're getting these boys experience, you're getting better players out at the end up, because they're learning more, they're learning on the job. And I don't get it, Oxford. I really, really don't understand why they wouldn't want these young boys to progress. And it's like holding them back, because, like I say, you're playing against the same boys every single year, and it must get boring.
Well, usually what you find is you get one team bridge man, and if they're the best at under 12s, they generally carry it through to under 16s.
Absolutely. There's a brilliant, they create a great trail. But the truth of the matter is as well, there's really not that many teams can afford to put a reserve team out. You know, it's really difficult, you know. And I dare say that the reserve team that you're age-wise, the reserve team that the Stardug's talking about, probably around about 16, 17s, maybe 15s. But Jings, you know, some of these teams in our leagues, you know, and from the Championship down, some of them, they don't have two pennies to rub together. They just don't. And they can't put a team out there now. Some of these teams haven't even signed any because of the sort of cutbacks. So I don't know how they're going to go on, and I don't hold out any hope for reserve teams because some of our Premiership clubs just couldn't afford it. They just couldn't afford the reserve team.
So, Bridge, what would you do, Bridge, with these young boys that we've got through? I'll give you players, for instance, Ross McCrorie, obviously he's away. You've got Josh McPake, Stephen Kelly, Glenn Middleton, Jamie Burjonas, Kai Kennedy and Lewis Mayo. Now, these are all boys that are tipped to go on and do big things, and we've got them at our club now. But with the way things have been going, they're not going to make the first team. So what would you do? What would you do with these boys? Would you just keep them where they are, or would you look to loan them out and get experience with maybe lower league clubs? Like I know Stephen Kelly was at Ayr United last season, and a couple of other boys went out and loaned Glenn Middleton at Hibs. But are they getting consistent enough runs in the team at these places? Is it enough just loaning them out?
Well, obviously I don't know how every one of them do, but I think that would be most professional teams at the top level when they want to loan their players out when they've got a surplus of younger boys. They want them out to get the experience and maybe get a year's loan at one club and a year's loan at another. It gives them that different experience. And sometimes you get continuity, you get it for 2 years with one club. But that's exactly what clubs want, and how they want it to run in a peaceful environment. But we haven't got such a peaceful environment at the moment. We just don't have it. And I think I don't want, you've heard me saying this, and I'm going to bore the arse off everybody, excuse my language, but it's really true. I don't want to see any Rangers player going to any Scottish team. I don't want to see it. Because number one, I know, and I go to a loan, we're going to be paying all their wages while they're there. That's for sure. All their wages.
Obviously, there's always deals struck, mate. Usually they might pick up a quarter, maybe sometimes 50%.
Yeah, sure.
But we've used the loan market as well, so we can't criticise. But I just think they've got to get a development somewhere. Go to Gary, that step, we're not making that step. There's not enough people making it. We've got the boy Patterson, who's really doing about the first team this now, but that's about it. I've got high hopes for the boy Mayo as well. I think any time I've seen him, I've been impressed with him. Been impressed with Patterson since the first time we see him play at Firhill, and hopefully the boy can kick on and take the jersey off a tab and make a career. But it's always a gamble, isn't it?
Aye, and it's always, unfortunately, we're at a time as well where we can't risk it either. We can't, the thought of putting in a young boy into, well, there you go, the weekend there, we had a tough game. Putting young boys in amongst that, it would, I don't know if it would do them worse than good, if you know what I mean. I think we need, like Stevie was saying, I think it was last night, he was saying it was all hands on deck. You've got to have total concentration this year. And most, if you look at, like, say, Chelsea and that, for years they just used their youth system as a business. They weren't really caring about the first team. They were just wanting to teach them.
They were
and
raking in money
on.
every other season, Gary, weren't they?
Aye, that's it. And I don't know whether we'll be our youth system, unless they really show a great bit of promise. I think we'll end up using it as a business as well.
Aye. I think 2 years ago Chelsea had like 40 players out in loan next year, didn't they?
I know, that's outrageous, isn't it? Outrageous. I had the pleasure of going up to their set up a few years back, Stardug, Chelsea.
I can only imagine what that was like.
In action there. But we've got an issue and we have to solve it because, Paul, the punters will start asking, as things develop, and there's none of the boys coming in, we say, oh, we've won another cup at 18s, we've won another cup at 17s, we've won this, which is fantastic. I mean, we're really delighted for the lads because they get the blue jersey on. But if we don't get one every couple of years in the first team, I think the point you're making, Stardog, is what is the point?
Yeah, exactly, mate. You've got to start bridging the gap, haven't you? You've got to start bridging the gap. I used the example of Glenn Middleton Oxshare. I mean, I don't know what your opinions is and what happened to the boy. But you know, that first season when Gerrard came in, he was getting used, like I say, he was scoring goals, he was doing a job, but I think at the time we were all criticising him, you know, he didn't have enough desire to get back and make tackles and help the team out and things like that. But you've got to take the pros and cons with these young boys, mate. You've got to work with them, things like that. And I don't think really keeping them out the team is the way forward. And I'm not just saying that about Glenn Middleton, saying he was unfairly treated, because I don't think he was unfairly treated, mate. But you know, what happens to these boys? How do you go from being so highly touted to getting in the first team to just not being good enough and being away to Aberdeen or Hibs or wherever you end up? You know, it's a strange one, mate. You know, what changes the manager's mind? Are they making it to the first team and then thinking, you know, they've made it, and the desire and the lack to do better drafts? You just don't know, Ox.
No, and every individual's different, and your best player at 12, your best player at 16, your best player at 20, aren't they always the same, Bridgeman, are they?
Oh, they are not, pal. No, they are not. But you're looking for, I would imagine, our management and chief scouts and people like that, and the coaches, they're looking for that consistency. When they put someone in, they want to see them consistently playing better and continuing with their progress for 2 or 3 seasons. And once they see that type of consistency in any of the youngsters, they could maybe start to sort of target them and say, like the young lad Billy Gilmer, he was just outstanding, wasn't he? Just totally outstanding. But you know, where did he end up? The way doing in Chelsea, and he's one of the top players in the Premier League now. You know, just amazing stuff. So that's the kind of thing we want for Rangers. But I doubt very much if we're ever going to notice it quickly enough. And you just can't fight off.
That's also part of the problem, Gary. Once you get somebody like Billy Gilman, you put all the time and effort in, and then somebody comes in, all right, you get $500,000. I think we get about $500,000 for him, and I think there's maybe some sell-on stuff as well. But $500,000, great business. But then he's not played for our first team, and that's what it's all about, isn't it?
Well, we're having a bit of bother now already with one of them now because of wages and stuff like that, and that's just because the boy knows that he'll probably be able to get more either down south or whatever, and that's what we're up against. It's just, and again, like I was saying, we're at a bad time where if this was probably any other season, we could probably take a chance and bleed a couple of them through and save some money, but that will just not happen until we start winning, unfortunately. And like I said, hopefully that'll get resolved with that young boy. Is it Peg? It's or one of
Josh
the boys?
McPake.
Kai Kennedy.
Is it Kai Kennedy? So it's just like you say, he's probably looked at Billy Gilmore and seen what's happened with him. You know what I mean, and he's been turned, obviously.
That's what you have to deal with. All right, so people might join us. Give us their thoughts. Doug, what's the number?
The number is 0141 356 1972.
Where else can you join us, Bridge?
They can join us on Skype at rangersradio.online, and Old School Blue and Fox will bring you in and look after you. Enjoy yourself.
The executive producer's been back for about 5 minutes, yeah?
So he's read his paper. Is that what you're saying? The paper's been read?
I've done the Sudoku. You can only do the Sudoku in a certain room in the house. Don't ask me why.
Ox, what are you feeling about Dwayne Docherty then? I think we've talked a few times about him and the hope that he was going to progress into the team.
As a boy and as a man, I've got a lot of time for the boy Docherty. I think he's an upstanding young lad, and he's one of us, and he goes about his life properly, and he works hard to be a professional football player. We signed him. Obviously, Bridge was against it. I wasn't. I thought, you take him, you come into a team, you come into a bad team. Let's be honest with you. You come into a bad Rangers team. And then when Gerrard started developing it, you could see there was flaws in his game. He never got much of a game with Gerrard for the day one. I just don't know if he's quite good enough to play for us. We signed him. He's been with us about 3 years now, I think. Obviously, it looks as if we're going to get rough with our money back. He's not got that long to go in his contract, so he's safe wages if that's the deal. Everybody's happy, you move on. And he would go with my best wishes because I've not got a problem with him as an individual. Stardog?
Aye, back what you say there, Oxchair. I thought his work rate and his desire to be in the team, obviously we know he's a Rangers boy through and through as well, but that just doesn't always guarantee you're going to get in the team, mate. I personally think in the final third for us and what we were trying to do and the football we were trying to play, I don't really think he fit it into that equation. He will go on, mate. He will go on and be a decent player down there. So he'll be a big player for Hull City, in my opinion. But he didn't fit the bill with us, Oxchair. And as sad as it is to say, you've said it for as long as I've been on here now. Sometimes you're just going to have to get rid of fans' favourites when you're trying to do better things. And I honestly don't think Gerrard ever liked to lock him because, like you just said there, he never really got a chance with Gerrard, did he?
No, he didn't play much. I'll have a look and see how much he's played. He's not really played that much. I'll check that out.
Well, he went on loan the first season and the second season, didn't he?
Aye.
He was on loan.
Bridgeman, you didn't want to say for the start.
I've said, I don't want to repeat it because it's you've just said it yourself. That was my opinion then, it's still my opinion now. And I think, in all honesty, if we can get anything close to our money back, grab it with both hands. Because I don't see, certainly not playing in Scotland anyway for us, I don't see him being a success. I just don't see it at all. Now, I can't do anything else other than wish him well because he's played for the Rangers, and wherever he goes to, hopefully it's down in England with Hull, and he succeeds there and gets transfers on, and Rangers have got a sell-on clause in the contract with him because we deserve a bit of luck that way. We don't seem to get these things. So hopefully someone's done the contract right. But really, I wish him well. He should never have been at Rangers, never.
He came in, obviously, the start of about 3 years this January, so he's been with us nearly 3 years. He's only played 19 games. Started in 12-7 as sub. And his last game he started was away to East Fife in the Cup. You remember that? The weather was horrible, it was windy.
Aye. And
he looked very ordinary. No, he wasn't the only one. It was a horrible game, but after that he was away on loan again after he'd been at loan in Shrewsbury the season before. Oh, let me get it right.
Yeah.
Aye, that's right. So
I was Shrewsbury first, Oxchair.
So then the manager really didn't fancy him, So look, he'll go with my best wishes. I think he's always came across as being a cracking lad with good stock, and I wish him all the best in his career. I hope he wins every week with Hull, different from Ross McCrorie, but he'll go with our best wishes. Stardog?
Aye, 100%, mate. He goes with my best wishes. As I say, I liked him as a player. I got to see him live against St Joseph's last year, mate. I think he started that game as well. And again, it was just at the passing in the final third. But I'm the same as you, Oxchair. He goes with my best wishes, mate. All the best to Greg Docherty in his travels. And I hope he makes a real success out of his career, mate, because he does deserve it.
All right, we'll be joined by our youth correspondent. How we doing? All bear?
Ox, how you doing? Spellberg, how you doing? Gary,
all bear.
Bridge.
Aye, all bear.
Just before you come in, all bear, there's a great article that's been done by James Black, I think, on some of the sites. It's kicking about. James Black has done an article about development, and Greg Mulholland's been with us 5 years, etc. It laid out some of the debates that we've just had, so we're not the only ones talking about it, and we're the same thing about it. Albert.
Well, me personally, I would get rid of that gang hut up in Murrayport or Auchenhowie. Keep the training centre, but get rid of that youth set up. It's mince. It's just rubbish. It's no working. It never has worked. You get the odd one here and there. I know we could pull names and go, what about that, what about this? But in general, it doesn't work. It's just nonsense. And by the way, nobody actually knows what their actual goal is, because they come out with woolly statements like, oh, I will try to get players for the first team, but never actually managed to do that. So it's a failure if that's what they're saying it is. If it's there to make money, it's also a failure because there's no drawing in enough money. Because what Chelsea do is use their youth set up as a revenue stream, a good revenue stream, not just it gets a few bob. No, it really is a good revenue. They bring in millions with that thing. So I'm looking at that model and going, well, that's a model you can actually copy, maybe. But again, somebody will point out that, we've not got the money to invest in that sort of model to bring hundreds of players in. So we can't do that, and we don't like what we're doing right now with the model we've got. Bin it and try something new, completely new. I believe we should be looking at the reject market, the boys and other clubs at 19, 20 and 21 who didn't make it. Look through them, sift through them and bring a couple of them and make a team up. And then you've only need to keep them a year, maybe 2 year tops to see if they actually, last chance saloon, going to make it. No, so you bin them. They don't, fraction of the cost it costs you. It doesn't cost you that much money to do that. And you might, and I think more than might, you'll get gems out of that, really gems out of that. At the moment.
Which for them, mate, my aim is to get people in my first team in it. As much
well, that's what they tell me.
As much as we take pleasure when my youths go and they win a worldwide tournament in the Middle East, we take a lot of pleasure for it, but it's still about getting players into the first team, innit?
Of course it is. Well, there's McCrorie. He got into the first team, played 55 times for us, and knew himself. So is that it? Is that our aim? Get that boy in 55 games and then punt him at what age is he? 20, 21, 22, something like that? What's this about? I don't understand what that's about. You go, I thought this boy was to go. And I'm proud of that boy. I really am proud of that boy walking in there and saying, I want away. I've had enough of this sitting in stands and getting put out and loan and all this. No, I want away. I'm proud of the boy for doing it. And I hope he has a great career, but no with them. Absolutely no with them. I hope he goes up there, uses them, and then gets a good move to a decent team, and then flourishes. And then just to show everybody, I had it. I knew I had it. And I wasn't prepared to sit in Rangers stands for years before I could prove that I've got it. So I'm proud of the boy. I'm quite happy. And the boy Dockett as well. If he goes to Hull, I'm proud of that boy, See these guys that believe in their own talent, they shouldn't be sitting at Ibrox and sitting in these stands waiting for a chance. I'd be batting his door down if I thought I was good enough and had the talent to say, you either play me or you get rid of me. That's your option. That's the choice I'm giving you.
Listen, I'll be honest with you, mate. I'm no one for blowing my own trumpet, as you know. But I would have been at Gerrard's door if I could have got up the road to find out how I wasn't playing on Sunday ahead of Barker.
Well, that's true. I mean, we can get that game on Sunday. We could go all day and dissect that all day long. The fact of the matter is we were garbage. That's just it. And I'm not accusing any of the boys on that part, no trying. They tried, right, but they didn't show enough heart and dig. That's
Gail.
Do you know what? Or Gail. But one of the things I would do with that team, that whole squad at the moment, the first team squad at the moment, is type out 2 words and laminate it and hone it each one of their players. And the 2 words I'd put is final product, end product, end product. What is your end product here? All the tricks and flicks and it's all great and 100 million passes, all great, fantastic. What's the end product? Oh, we never go to it. Well, there's no big point in it. If you remember Ronaldo, they signed with Man City. After 4 games, Ferguson had him against the wall in the throat and saying, end product with you. Oh, you push one, but it doesn't produce anything. See, after that, look, the boy went on to strength. That's Ferdinand said. The boy went on to strength there and became the best player in the world. But without Ferguson getting a hold of him by the throat and saying, end product, that boy would have carried on being a show pony. So you need to get it into Ken. I like all the players, by the way. I'm not getting it anyway. I like all the players. But the Kent, Hadji, Morelos is he's not there, but what do you call him? Aribo this year, that's actually starting to show you what he's capable of. And he's got an end product most of the time. No, you can't have an end product all the time, but the majority of the time you need to have an end product, whether it's a cross to somebody, whether it's a shot on goal, whether it's a goal itself, whether it's a layoff, and it's going to be something. At the moment, we're just that against. I mean, that Livingston team, let's be honest, that's not the same Livingston team to last year. And that Livingston team dominated us there. They dominated us in as much as they're just kicking the ball away. They wouldn't really care. They were just kicking. They're not good defenders. I'm saying make them defend. They're no good defend. No, we just stood there in front of them, played in front of them. And I've said before, you could get shaved apes to do that.
That's plenty, Isaac.
Oh, and by the way, see the youth thing I meant to say to you. People think this is new. This is no new, by the way. Think back to 2012 when we actually were in that Premiership and they deducted us 15 points and they said the next season they weren't going to get relegated.
That was your chance.
Aye, but wait a minute. It wasn't if we had the players. But we were waiting to see if they were going to kick us out of the league. And they said, well, if they kick us, if they stay in the Premiership, we'll bring the youth in. And it was Walter Smith who turned around and says, if you bring the youth in next year and you're in the Premiership, you will be relegated. So that tells you, even back then, whenever the youth set up, we wouldn't have enough players to come into the first team and carry us through. Not to win the league or anything, just to stay in the league. We couldn't even have boys good enough to keep us in the league. That's one of your greatest managers telling you that now before it even happened.
So what's happened then, Albert? What's happening? I'll take this to Gary next then, Stardom. What's happening? Why have people not been able to make that jump from 18s to men's football? And my theory is because they don't go and play reserve football.
I don't think it's that at all. I don't think it's anything to do with anything. I just think it's talent. I just think it's absolute talent. We've got a lack of talent in Scotland, and it's a fact of life. And I'm talking about quality talent. They've got talent to a certain degree, but they've not got the final stages, and that's what's holding them back.
How can we be so successful then against top European sides in the last couple of years?
Who, the youth team or the first team?
The youth team.
I mean, because look what we're doing. We're going out and trying to hoover players all over the place. We're bringing players for. We're not bringing most of the players for Scotland that are influencing these games. They're coming for England and France and Holland and all over the place. They're bringing these boys in for all over the place. So you look at our gene pool here and say it's pretty thin in the ground. It really is pretty thin in the ground. And by the way, even the really talented ones in Scotland don't stay in Scotland. The Premiership usually hoover them in. So you're getting less and less and less. So we're wasting more time with this model. It's not going to work. It's never going to work.
Yeah.
I know. Fox said we should. It's a community thing and all because we should. As part of the community, we should be giving these boys a chance. If that's the case, build them a BB hut then. What's the point of putting them through the Rangers Academy for years to put them in the bin and they end up anyway? Sorry, Graham. That's me. My rant's done now.
You feel better?
That was a good 12 minutes, all Bill. That's a record.
That's one of your better ones. Gary, and then Stardom.
Well, see, if you look at our first team, you've got Ken, Hadji, Alfredo, Catty,
Aribo.
And Aribo. They're all about 21, 22, right? So surely we've got boys of that age that should be breaking through our youth system. But the only difference I would say with Kent and all that is when you look at back in their kind of career, they all went out and they played in reserves and they played for other teams. And I think our youth setup is really, if we've not got a reserve league, the boys should be asking, or whoever's in charge should be saying to them, we've got to look to put you down to teams maybe doing the bottom leagues of England or Scotland or whatever, and progress them and try and, like you say, play with men and see how they can progress. And then you'll know if the talent's there, then they'll succeed. And if they don't, then we need to do what we're doing. We need to move them on.
All right, I'm going to come back to Stardom after we have a tune. Stardom, just...
No worries, mate.
Stephen Kelly.
That was all Bill's rant at 10 his own.
He started it off past there. Took it right up to the
That's probably 5:15, isn't it?
But the name I might mention to you, because I know where you live, and he made a good name for himself, is Stephen Kelly, and then he's went up to Ross County and we're thinking, right, okay, he's making this next step up, but he's not. I don't think he's in a minute game time. So go back to that Stardom. So get yourself a mute, and we're going to have a tune for the Sudoku champion and Old School Blue. Take it away.
How many years ago, my boys, I left the Glasgow town I follow the pull of the Yankee land and here I'm settled down. Although I'm in so Bridgeton Cross and my friends so near and dear, what I would give if I could have the Rangers over here. You can talk of California where the sun shines all the year. You can bomb about your Broadway light so clear. But it would fill my heart with gladness, it would fill my heart with cheer, if we only had the Rangers over here. For they're the finest team in all the land, and I'm sure that you'll agree. To see them win is something grand, it's part of history. We're the boys who fear no noise, my lads, and I mean this quite sincere. What I would give if I could have the Rangers over here. Singing Buck of California where the sun shines all the year. Singing bum about your Broadway life so clear. But it would fill my heart with gladness, it would fill my heart with cheer, if we only had the Rangers over here. For they're the finest team in all the land, and I'm sure that you'll agree. To see them win is something grand, it's part of history. We're the boys who fear no noise, my lads, and I mean this quite sincere. What I would give if I could have the Rangers over here. You can talk of California where the sun shines all the year. You can bomb about your Broadway life so clear. But it would fill my heart with gladness, it would fill my heart with cheer, if we only had the Rangers over here. If we only had the Rangers over here. If we only had the Rangers over here.
Go on, Bridgman, go on.
If we only had the Rangers over here. By the way, all the Rangers fans always singing that. You know, boys that are sitting abroad there, you know. Absolutely, that's what they would love. Get the Rangers over there, wherever they are. Fantastic.
But they can't sing like you, Bridgeman. They can't sing like you, I tell you. They can't sing like you, I tell you. No, you've got the voice of an angel.
Singer than I am. And
the songbird of your generation. That's what you are.
Oh,
You're the songbird of your generation.
I love it.
I must admit, I've heard they used to throw a lot of money at Bridge when he was singing.
Very good.
Right, back to what we're talking about. The boy Stephen Kelly started. I thought, right, okay, this boy, he's at a level, he's moved up a wee level. Yeah. He's not a minute.
No, Sharon, you know, it was a wee bit of a fan's favourite down at Somerset last year. You know, he made 27 appearances, mate, for United and scored 5 goals. They loved him down here, mate. He was getting stuck in about it. As I say, 27 appearances to move up to the next level, which I thought he played really well, mate. He finished third last season, punching above their weight again, and he was a big pater that Oxshire. For him to move up to Ross County and for them not even to give the boy a single minute. And don't forget, by the way, this is a boy that's not only got the championship experience under his belt, he's got experience at the Scotland national team, mate, all the way up to under 21 level. He's made a couple of appearances under 16, 17, 19, then 21 or whatever it is, mate. So, you know, he's in the Scotland set up there as well. So he's obviously a highly touted player. And for what reason? I know Ross County's had a decent start to the season and whatnot, but I find even a cameo for them. And he's getting wasted. He is, mate. Yes, he is.
We're screaming out for a playmaker. Right now, we're screaming out for a playmaker. Now, that boy didn't about him. He'd been that Rangers first team and now saving us going out and spending millions of pounds on a playmaker. This is the point I'm trying to get to.
Ross County team, Albert.
Exactly. They don't play football anyway up there. I don't know if he's getting up there, but they don't play football.
We're talking about bridging that gap, though, mate. You know, he made 27 appearances in the Championship. Do you know what I mean? And then the Ross County, for me, are a bottom half of the table team. You would like to think, mate, he's good enough to break into their team, even to go on the bench, you know, but he's not even appeared, and I find that strange. And I think Oxford, you only leave situations like that so long, and you get the boy back, and then you get somebody else that wants to take him that's actually going to play him. These players should have clauses in the loan deals stating that they have to play a certain amount of minutes, because we've had to do that with players. Did we not have to do that with the boy Ajaria?
Aye, for his development, no for
yes,
for his career. I agree with you.
Aye.
All right, aye. But I think I suppose that supports. Remember, we finished about 50 minutes over. I suppose that supports your argument, mate.
That's right. Yeah, again, I missed that.
I said, I suppose that supports your argument.
Aye, with Kelly.
Aye.
Exactly. If he's good enough, he should be in that Rangers team right now, because that's what we're screaming out for. There's a position there to be filled. But he's up at Ross County, and I don't know what you're doing up there anyway, you know what I mean? I wouldn't say a dug up
there. Gary?
No, it's a strange one. Like Stardog was saying, though, that there should be something in the contract that states that we're giving you a top player, so he needs to get played a certain amount of games early season. And if it's not that, then straight back to Ibrox and then out to somewhere else.
All right. So people want to join us again, Bridge, and give their thoughts. What's the number?
The number's 0141 356 1972.
Where else can you join us, Stardog?
You can join us at Skype at rangersradio.online, and you will be brought into the call by Fox and Terry, or Old School Blue, sorry.
The chief executive officer.
Can I come in to talk about Stephen Kelly?
Oh, here he comes, the chief. Changed his title, chief executive.
He sounds angry too.
Well, the reason Stephen Kelly isn't getting a game at Ross County is because of the way Ross County started the season. They've won a few games and have got a couple of points on the board. He'll just be getting used to playing in their system. I think he'll get his chance at Ross County as the season develops. You can't expect him just to walk into the team as soon as he gets there. Give him a couple of, maybe up to about 10 games and he'll be in the side, I think.
All right, okay, only time will tell if you're right by that statement. Is he a boy that you've got high hopes for, Fox?
I think he's confident on the ball, I think he's small in stature, but let's wait and see. If he does well at Ross County, I think it'll be his last loan.
Bridgeman.
Fox has got a point to a certain extent, but you know, I don't think, personally speaking, I think that boy would be better off sitting up knocking Howie and taking part in the training schedules with the youth up there, because I don't think he's good enough to even get a game. In my honest opinion, I like the boy. I think the boy's a smashing player, but I don't think he's good enough to get a game in their team. And I don't mean good enough play-wise. I don't think he's a tough enough player to get a game in their team. That's what I mean. Because they're a really tough team. The Highland League teams are really tough, and it's hard. It's hard work. So I don't know whether he would ever get a game. I wish him well, and I hope he does get the games. But I think it's another wasted journey, is my opinion.
Mm-hmm. Fox, I'm glad you came in and joined us. Obviously, we've had quite a lengthy debate. I didn't know we'd go on this, and I'm glad that Albert coming in because he's got a view on it. I think you've got a different view, mate.
Just think if you're going to be a big club, a youth development programme is essential. And it's not just Okinawa, mate. We've got youth set-ups in Canada, America, Australia, India. And hopefully what you look up a gem. And it's not easy, as you spoke about Chelsea earlier on, who are swooping about signing every under 16-year-old boy that's got a bit of talent. It's very hard to get some into your own academy. But let's wait and see. I mean, people coming through the academy. Our goalkeeper at the present, Alan McGregor, for instance. And in the recent times, Barry Mackay. You've got young Nathan there at the right back position, who's knocking on the door. It's no a brilliant turnover record, but it isn't for most clubs that have a youth development scheme.
Would you say that Ross McCrorie with 55 games is a success for the youth coaching then?
Reasonably. I think Ross's downfall is he lacks something in being a player. Sometimes with young kids it's concentration, it can be physicality. There's always something missing for their game. And in Ross's case for me is I don't think he's very good on the ball. He might be a strong tackler, strong header, strong runner, but he's not got all the ingredients to make a first team player for me at Rangers.
All right, fair enough. Gary?
Is that an argument? Is that an argument then, Fox, for changing the whole system in Scotland to make it a draft system, the same as the Americans have got for their American football and their baseball?
There's probably loads of good ideas floating about like that, Albert. But getting it through the SFA or the SPFL, whoever it runs it, they'll no accept schemes. And the Rangers, and if you want to talk about them across the city, tried to get teams into the lower divisions to give young boys a chance to develop under their coaching, but managing to play in a professional league. And they've blocked that at the moment. So the clubs are trying, the two big clubs are trying to do something. But as usual, there's a bureaucracy in football, mate, it stops it.
Can you imagine the draft all there? We'd be left with John Paul McBride.
But that's the point. See if the SFA take over the youth setup completely and total and make a youth leagues, and then they come through the youth leagues. You can go for school straight in and get an education as well. So they take it over like the Americans do. And then for that, you get the draft. So the weaker teams get the first choice. So you're making your leagues competitive and you have to pay money. So you're drafting them no into your youth team. You're drafting them into your first teams. No, your squads, your first team squads. So you have to pay money into the draft to get them to come to your club. So we then have a look at to see what's out there in total. Instead of all this, each club's got an academy producing basically nothing. Just bang average players. It's madness. We need to do something new.
Great point, Albert. The bang average players. Is it bad coaching or is it bad players then?
Better both, mate. Better both. You can't blame the players for being bad players and because they've not been coached properly. There's a bit to that. But you also need to look at the fact that the talent itself, there's not a great deal of the special talent, if you want. There's not a great deal of that. And it's all we're doing is producing team fillers for other teams in Scottish football. That's all we're doing.
Gary?
You just wonder... Oh, sorry, mate.
No, I think... No, the whole... I would love to find out where the manager is with the youth system, because when that boy Burjonis got his new contract, the manager took him into the first team locker room and gave him his locker and all that and said to him that's him. Not so much made it, but he's progressed. And I'm like, well, if that's the case, then why is he no challenging Jack or somebody in that midfield, or like you say, that playmaker that's going to charge forward for us? I just don't understand why we seem to get so far with these boys and then it just all seems to stop and they all just disappear into the background again. Surely Stephen Gerrard should be speaking to the youth setup or his staff and saying, right, what's happening with this boy? Why is he not got the right attitude when he's coming in, or is he no training right, or all that stuff? I wish somebody would come out, and even when you hear on the Rangers TV, you hear Kevin Thompson talk about the youth and he's enthusiastic about it. He says there's promise there and stuff like that, but yet you're like, well, if there's promise there, why are they no chat? Stephen Gerrard said himself when he was a youth player, he was coming in to take a shot and he didn't stop until he got it. And you're like, well, if that's the mindset, then why is our boys not doing it?
Probably because the manager can see that they've not got that ingredient that he's looking for. I mean, he came through the youth system at Liverpool, mate, and you've got to have that something special about you to make the leap. And it's a massive leap. People think it isn't, but it's massive We played against Livingston at the weekend and what our support considered a bunch of diddies, right? But they're all decent and basic football players who are probably better than anything that we've got in our youth programme. It's a massive leap, guys, for youth into professional football.
See, the annoying thing about that is, though, folks, and I don't know what Albion thinks about this, but I mean, Livingston had two former Ayr United players and a guy that they'd signed for Kilsyth Rangers, and that kind of team's able to hold us to a draw. I just don't think that's good enough. You know, we're out here paying £2 and £3 million a player, and Livingston can go and sign a guy for Kilsyth Rangers and think, man, he'll do a job against Rangers. That's not good enough for me. It goes beyond your youth level and all that. I know you have to start looking at the first team as well.
But, I mean, you're looking at Livingston, they can do the basics, mate. The basics very well. We're looking for players that can do the basics but provide that extra spark. So a team like Livingston, when they're in total defence, can snuff out most attacks, mate, because the guys are decent pros who know their job. They don't do anything exciting, they just clear their lines. And it's very, very hard. I was watching the game on Sunday, same as everybody else. And all I could see in my television was yellow shirts. You couldn't see Rangers players because they were lost in the crowd.
Here, pal. Here. That's exactly what I thought.
But that's down to the management.
Too much football for the back as well.
That's down to the Fox. That's down to the management. Most of our players, we've got 4 players back guarding one centre forward. I'm not going to go through it all again, but everybody's been through this. So that's bad. That's bad management. That's bad coaching, bad management. You don't need all the players. That's how we've got the same. We've got 11 players on the part. They've got 11 players on the part. And if we only see yellow jerseys, well, we've got to change that. We've got to get our jerseys in amongst their jerseys. And we just didn't. We're standing back there with no imagination. It's just a bit of imagination you need. It's no great skill. It's just a bit of imagination. There was nothing. And that's the management. That's not the players. I'm not blaming the players. I know how difficult that is. We've seen great players and great teams struggle against the low block, not just Rangers. But at the end of the day, it's always going to be imagination, a bit of flair, a bit of something. But the management must see it. I mean, Gerard, and I didn't agree with 50% of what he said after the game on Sunday. He came out and said, the bit I didn't agree with is, Tavernier and Barisic are flying down the wings and crossing the ball. I'm going, actually, to who? Who are they crossing the ball to? Answer that question. There's nobody in the box to cross to. So he's starting to get half statements and half truths now to me, and I'm going, look, stop all this nonsense. You see the problem. You stood on the sideline and done nothing about it. Nothing. You stick on Ruth, who's no fit. You stick on Big Hitton and then stop the crosses. Nobody wants to cross the ball. We've got a 6'2" guy who's reportedly good in the air. We've yet to see it because he doesn't get any crosses. But we don't give him crosses. That's madness. That's management. That's got nothing to do with players. That's management. He should be on that sideline screaming at them, get the ball across to him. But he doesn't. He just stands there and we start playing that tippy-tappy football and get absolutely nowhere. So you've got that side of it. But to get back to the youth side of it, the bottom line is, if you're good enough, you're old enough, you're getting in. It's as simple as that. It's just as simple as that. And they're not good enough. And the boy Kelly should be if he's good enough, he should be in the Rangers team right now, because we're about to go out and spend millions on a playmaker, and we've got this fantastic boy and we're loaning him out to Ross County. Ross bloody County, come on.
They can't think he's good enough. They can't think he's good enough, Albert. Exactly. Sorry, Webster, interrupting.
But he's still going to make the leap, mate, and it's a big leap for the Championship to the Premiership. It's how he does this season in the Ross County side. We'll decide whether we keep him or we don't. Give the boy a chance and let's see at the end of the season. We can talk on Stephen Kelly and whether he has progressed or no.
I'm not dismissing the boy, Fox. I'm giving the boy every chance in the world to make the Rangers team. But the Rangers team right now need a playmaker. He's a playmaker. He should be in the team if he's good enough. Now, Zoc says he's not good enough. But what is he doing at Rangers now? What age is this boy? He's in his 20s now, or he's 19, 20 or something, isn't he?
I think he's about 21.
Well, there you are. We've got players at 21 in our team now, and we've had to go and buy them. So you go, well, if this boy's not good enough, we've spent how many years trying to find out he's no good enough? It's silly.
He's the same age as Hadji, Albert. He's the same age as Hadji.
Well, there you are. We need to change the model. It doesn't work, guys. It's never going to work either. We're just going to keep going round. And see all the young boys in their 30s and 20s and all that, look, Stardog and all that. See, they get to my age and Bridge and or Fox's age, they're going to be talking the same way as we're talking right now. But wait, hold on, it's all going to come good. It's never coming good. The model doesn't work. Bin the model and try something new. That's what I try to say. Stop rejigging. All they're doing, as I'm concerned, is sorting the deck chairs on the Titanic, you know, but this will remodel the youth system. It's nonsense.
I like that one. I heard that for a while. Right, okay.
Oh, man.
Last word to Fox. Who's a great supporter of the youth. Alberg, you've made some cracking points, haven't you, Stardog?
As always, mate, as always.
I can't disagree with Albert's opinion. That's his opinion on things, mate. And I think a great deal of the Rangers support might agree with that.
Mm-hmm.
But there's always that wee chance you're going to undig or dig up a class player, mate. If we can get him by 16 and he's no coach staff, as with the big temptations of going to the Premier League sides, that's when we know. We're looking for a late developer, mate, that nobody notices.
A late developer. Right, okay. People want to join us, Stardog. What's the number?
The number's 0141. Oh, sorry.
Oh, there's is that Stardog's echo there, or is that Bridge?
That was me. Sorry, pal.
Hey, the number is 0141 356 1972. I think this is your bit, Bridge.
Bridge?
You can join us at Skype at rangersradio.online, and Old School Blue or Foxy will bring you in. Enjoy yourself.
All right.
Thank God you didn't ask me the number. All I had to say is listen to an old show. It's on that.
Dear. Don't be a pork bear. Don't get it right.
I know he'll never be forgiven for that.
I've put that number he gave out in a taxi turn up.
What's I going to say? Right, okay, Gary, we go on about, and we talked about it Sunday, we talked about it last night, we talked about it. This so-called low block, we're going to have to face this. We might have to face it again on Saturday. It's a terrible watch. But what you have to do to get them to unblock, score a goal. It's as simple as that. Once you score a goal, the whole low block's finished, isn't it?
That's it, and hopefully we'll have our main playmaker back, which is Haribo. But like I said, if we've not got him, then we really need to have the so-called Plan B. We need to make sure we've got guys there that I don't know. I always see going down the wings and crossing the ball in. It has worked for us, but there should be more guys charging in the box. It does my head in. Even when I was watching the game the other day there, that seemed to be the pattern. Just go down the wings. There was nobody grabbing the ball. And the times that we did, even when Kent cut in and he ran in and took a shot, that's when they seen their defenders panic. And I think if we make the defenders panic, we'll get the goal that we need. And as soon as we get that goal, that'll be it, because they'll come out. They'll invite them out to try and get the draw, and then that's when our players will flow and they'll get the extra goal, and we'll just go on and on. Because that's what happened with St Johnstone. St Johnstone game was a bit like that, but as soon as we got that free kick and he banged that away, it invited them out more, and that's what happened with Livingston. We just didn't get that goal to invite them out.
Mm-hmm. But listen, I get your point about putting crosses in. No, a lot of good if there's nobody in the box. And this is where some of the criticism, Stardog, Jack and Kamara play next. Oh, we got a caller.
Don't like to take us caller, Ox.
All right, mate. Yeah.
How you doing, lads? All right, listen, Tommy and Airdrie here, first time caller.
How we doing, Tommy? All right, mate.
Aye, not too great after the result in the weekend there, but there's the break.
Bridge has just had his first solid meal since Sunday.
I don't know if you lads have already covered this, but McCrorie and Doherty, we not got like one of the best midfielders of all time in England. Is he not supposed to be coaching these lads?
Listen, this is no my view, but this is the view. It's been, if the raw material's not there at the start, you can't make them a diamond if the stuff's not there. You can improve it.
I hate to bring up, separate into the AFC and all that, but they've got a good core of Scottish players that can't be denied. Now, what's going on with our coaching and their coaching? How can they bring them through and we can't?
Oh, they've brought in who won the boat, their captain the boat for Hibs, McGregor.
What's the Tierney and all that?
Tierney
goes for I think Barisic is better than Tierney. He goes for 25 million. But that's a totally different issue. But I don't understand how we can't bring like quality players through like we did years ago. I know guys like Charlie Adam and Alan Hutton weren't world beaters, but they were good players.
Well, if you look back at our history, mate, in general, we've bought most of our players and we've brought them in at 17, 18. It's not a thing that we've done, was developed, because it's a relatively new in Rangers history to have this youth set up. Stardunk.
Aye, 100%. Oxshare. I can get what he's saying, mate. But if it's no there, Oxshare, like you're saying, if you've not got the raw materials, then it's just no there. I know in the past, Gerard made a comment about Ross McCrorie being a future Rangers captain and all that. I don't know. I mean, we can't speak for what's happened on the training ground or what he's seen. But the likes of Greg Docherty, mate, I mean, he's not really worked with Greg Docherty in the training pitch because Greg Docherty spent the majority of his time under Steven Gerrard on loan. And the boy McCrorie was the same, mate. He came in and he played against that game at St Mirren, like Bridgman said earlier on the show, and he gets sent off. And for then, he kind of struggled to get in and out the Rangers team. Like Oxshare says, if the raw materials aren't there, then you just can't coach. Obviously he sees maybe a player in Ryan Jack and Glenn Kamara. You've got Davis, you've got Arfield, you've got Aribo. There's just too many players already in there, mate. And Greg Docherty and Ross McCrorie, for me, they weren't really any higher up the pecking order than what Steven Gerrard had them. It's unfortunate, but that's just life, mate. You're going to have to say bye to fans' favourites.
I don't see like Kamara. He wasn't coming for like Barcelona. He came for Dundee. Greg Docherty came for Hartmanaki. So it's not like we're spending big money on those guys anyway. So I don't understand how. Gary McAllister as well. I mean, he's another one. Like, what does he actually do? Is he not supposed to be coaching these players? I mean, he's like, I know these guys said a while ago he's like Bibbs and Cones guys, but I'm actually beginning to wonder if that's true. Because I don't know what he offers anymore. If he's not coaching these young boys, what's actually going on with him?
The number 2 job's always a funny job in football, but it's always a connection between the manager and the dressing room, isn't it?
Aye. And I can't believe I'm going to talk about youth players and that horrible mob across the city, because the players that don't make it, I mean, the ones that do make it, they know what happened to them if they don't make it. It's well documented. They're in court because of it. So that's what I think about them. No, I mean, I don't go with the fact that they bring players through and we don't. That's just, I don't agree with it at all, because at the end of the day, they're nothing special. Tierney actually got through because they were dominating Scottish football, mate. Absolutely. And they could afford to put a young boy in at left back because they dominated Scottish football and they dominated the cup. So there was no challenge. They actually treated Scottish football like a training session for these boys, but that's how much of a challenge. But now Rangers are slightly back and coming on strong now. They know they can't get away with that anymore because they put their youth boys out.
Better than Tierney, isn't he? I mean, Barisic is better than Tierney.
Definitely. You're right there.
It's not like the media as well, because they promote these guys to like world beaters, but they're not. And we saw it when we beat them, like the Parkhead, and then in the cup final, which we should have gubbed them 10-0. Well, because of Big Lutz. I mean, he has a quality keeper, but that's the only reason we didn't win that match. I still can't believe we didn't win that match, to be honest with you. It's just unbelievable.
But change the subject. You'll have me greeting in a minute.
I know. Right, listen, thanks, lads. Keep the good work up, all right?
Wait, how long have you been listening to the show? What's your Rangers story, mate?
What's that, mate? Oh, just a lifelong fan. Yeah, what can I say? It's my boss from Coat Bridge, actually, so don't say anything about that,
You're from Coat Bridge, did you say?
No, my boss from Coat Bridge, so she's on the other side, so we're not going there. My dad's on the right path.
All right, and how long have you been listening to the show, mate?
Oh, a couple of years now. I think way back, back to the dark days, unfortunately. I needed something to keep me through, so when there was old Murray was in charge and there was dire stuff, but you guys have been quality all the way through, so keep up the good work. It's just really good to see a Rangers show on and know that Clyde won push. I mean, it's dialogue and that stuff sometimes.
Do you still listen to it, Tommy?
Well, I listen to Alex. Alex is flagging, but I mean, I like Alex, and Suki was a God's sake. I don't know why I listen to him, but I do it for Alex, and there are a few Rangers boys go on it, so keep up the good work in that regard.
I don't know of any league or any television company or radio station or even their media who are so, shall we call them, so partial, right? There's, you normally get two teams. I'm talking about all of them. In this country here, there's only one way. It's like a one-way street. Every single every pundit on the telly is either an ex-Celtic player or a budding Celtic player, or it's all there.
Michael
Hardly
Stewart,
any Rangers.
Oh, he showed his colours, didn't he? He showed his colours, didn't he?
Aye. All he needs is a green and white suit to go with that red hair.
I can't believe I seen him play for Rangers against Fulham, 2004.
Wow. Puzzle was playing that game.
Aye.
That's a goal, lads. Keep up the good work, alright?
Cheers, mate. Thanks for the call, mate.
All the best, Tommy. Welcome to the show, anyway. Oh, he's gone.
Aye. On you go, Stardog.
I was just going to say, mate, what the boy Tommy's saying there about Radio Clyde and that's a breath of fresh air to hear, because that's why we're here, mate. That's why we're called Rangers Radio, for the Rangers fans to phone in so their voices can be heard, mate, through social media, through radio, through Twitter, whatever it may be. But that's what we're here for, mate, so that it's not just one-sided radio shows. That's why we're here flying the flag for Rangers, isn't it? That's what it's all about, getting new callers in.
Well, this is a one-sided radio show, mate.
Correct. No, that's what I'm saying. I'm
not here for that reason. I'm not here because if I wasn't here, I'd be blown about the Paisley Road like an empty crisp poke, as I've said before.
He's only on here to keep him at the call, right, over?
Aye,
mate, that's what it is. See, going back to what you're talking about the Saturday's game.
Aye.
You know the strange thing about this game coming up? As we all went on about Jack and Kamara, Saturday's going to be the game that you actually need Jack and Kamara on the team.
Absolutely.
Because they have got a forward line. See that big centre forward there, and they've got Buck there, and I can't remember that other guy, but they actually have got a forward line. So this is going to be a real test for our defence as well forwards on Saturday. So but you're going to need Jack and Kamara after what we said at the last 2 or 3 games that we didn't need them. No, you really. That's what I was trying to say. I'm not denying they're good players. There's certain games you didn't need them in.
Do you know what? It's nothing to do with Jack and Kamara. It's where after 20 minutes, somebody said to Kamara, "You go 20 yards further forward, and Jack, you come in and sit on your own." That would have made sense to me. That's the problem I've got with the whole thing. They don't seem to be able to think on their feet. We'll get the gaffer, the number 2, Michael Beale.
That's him. It's got to answer for it. See Michael Beale.
The players themselves, yeah. And that's what disappoints me. It's not the personnel. I think with who was in offer, give or take, I would have picked 10 of the players. I'll see if you can guess who I wouldn't have picked on Sunday, right? But I would have picked maybe 10 of the players especially when Bigger Evil was out. So that's maybe I went with. And then when it's not gone, you have to change it when it's so blatantly bad.
Seen it last year.
When you go, Gary, I'll go back.
I know. See, when you're talking about that, like, Ian would bring up Barker and that. Greg Stewart, man, the boy must sit there and unfortunately he'll be the next one champing the door saying, "Look, I'm away," because if Barker's getting on in that kind of game, Greg Stewart is a boy that's played in the kind of games, pure like sat in and soaked up pressure and stuff like that. I don't understand why we didn't put him on before, because what ended up we put on Barker, and then Kent ended up moving out to the right. You were as well as putting on Stewart, keeping Stewart on the right, and keeping Kent on the left.
Stewart would have been cute enough to get a penalty as well, mate. He's cute enough to get. He's a clever player. He's maybe not got the best pace, but he is a clever player. I like Stewart for certain games again, but to stand and put Barker on with his Ox said, there's nowhere to run. What's the point?
Who thought of that, mate? Who came up with that decision, mate? That worries me. It really does. Stardog, in you come, mate.
Oxford, no, I totally 100% agree with what you're saying. Like, what are they seeing? What are they seeing on the bench in that game that thinks, do you know something? Brandon Barker's going to make a difference here. I can see somewhere where he might have an in. For me, mate, we don't really cover Greg Stewart much, and I think it's a shame because I know you really like him, Oxford. I just don't unfairly treat it, but he's man-made for pitches like that. He spent 6 months at Kilmarnock and he was scoring goals for fun there. So it's not as if he's no used to that playing surface. And I think he must be looking at himself, and everybody can see it. I've not heard a Rangers fan that would disagree that Greg Stewart's a better player and a more influential player than Brandon Barker. I think even if you look at his substitute appearances and the goals that he got last year, it's there in the stats, mate. Folks say stats are never not Australia, but when it comes to things like that, I definitely back the stats in that scenario because Greg Stewart's proven he can come on and he can score goals for Rangers. Simple.
Listen, nothing against the boy Barker personally, Gary, but I just don't think he's up to it, mate. We've seen him come in. I think he scored in his debut or something against Livingston at Ibrox or something, but we've watched him. Yeah, he can shift, but there's no heart, there's no brain, there's no skill. No good enough. Don't know.
It was a rough and tumble game. And like I says, it just, if that's Michael Beale's meant to be the tactician, they're going to get started and asked about him because he's meant to be the man that's going to figure this out. Along with the coaching staff, but he's the one we see on the Rangers TV and the coaching days and all. He's got all this stuff out saying, right, I want you to do this and I want you to do that. So he should be sitting going down, right, this is what you're going to be up against and I want you to do this. But constantly running down the wings when there's nothing happening, that's when you're looking for your Michael Beale to go to Steven Gerrard saying, by the way, we should be changing up for this, or we've got to put on Greg Stewart, we've got to just put him up there and just keep lumping balls up to him. Yeah, I just don't. I don't know. I'm bamboozled with a lot. Like I said, we started well this season. And I don't want to criticise the team too much because it is still early days. But that in Livingston at half time, you could see what was coming, and there should have been decent enough changes for the second half because we had 45 minutes to score one goal.
Great point, Gary. At half time, usually I would be seeing somebody would say, look, you wouldn't maybe change it at half time unless there's an injury. But with 5 substitutes, why don't you use them, Bridgman? If something's not right, you can at least make one change and you've still got 4 today.
Yeah, it's quite strange. Look, his decisions, the managers, the whole management and coaching decisions on Saturday, watching Saturday's game, I'm sure that most Rangers fans maybe even a different opinion, but it would all end up the same. Got to make a change and change a positive change. And I have to say, I agree with most of the guys that have said it. I don't think, as it turned out, I don't think Barker was a positive substitution. In fact, it was a waste of space, a waste of jersey. See, that's my opinion after watching it. I'm sure there was other boys somebody else that could have brought on in his place that could have done a better job given the situation. Because he's again, once again, he's only a wee fella and they're getting buffeted and battered and so on and so forth. So I doubt very much if he'll do much for Rangers because there's a lot of teams going to do the same thing against us. So I don't know who Brandon Barker will be, his skills of speed and agility. I don't know where he's going to be able to use them because a lot of the teams we're going to play against are going to play just like Livingston. But I'm puzzled as to what happened with the substitutions. Puzzled.
Albert.
I'll tell you one thing about the substitutes, guys. See the St Johnstone game, and that's as we now know Gerrard doesn't truly know what he's doing. He put the A4 subs on, and do you know why he put the A4 subs on? Because he admitted it himself in a roundabout way. He puts the 4 subs on as an experiment. It's not the personnel as per se that he's putting on, it's just the fact we're putting 4 subs on. He put them on because he knows in a friendly, if you put 4 and 5 subs on at a time, the pace of the game dies, the whole rhythm of the game goes right out. Now, he knows that. But he didn't know that in a competitive game. But after the game, he went, I'll take my responsibility, my part to play than slowing that game down the last half hour by putting 4 subs on. Right away, I went, You've just tried an experiment and it didn't work. How did you know that wouldn't work? It doesn't work in friendlies. It doesn't work. It's never worked for any game, for any friendly I've ever watched, putting that amount of subs on at the one time. So, Jimmy, JFK got it right. It should be 2, 2 and 1. That's what you should be doing if you're going to use the 5. So that suggests to me that Gerrard, I know he's still learning his game, but that's a basic one. You should just know that. Everybody knows that if you put too many subs on, you slow the game right down and the whole rhythm goes out again. So from that point of view, he's not using his subs right, and he's still learning on the job, and it's getting a bit frustrating for me. I'll be honest with you guys, it really is getting a bit frustrating. I'm just this is a season I thought we'll settle down here, knuckle down, and get on with this. I'm not seeing us knuckling down. I'm not seeing what I thought I would see. We're not playing well. That's fine. I don't mind that. The difference between the first 3 games, and the Livingston game is end product. We got the 3 points. That was the end product. We got the 3 points. That makes a massive difference. Disregard how you play. You don't play well on the Livingston game and get a draw. Now the highlight. Now everybody's into your body, into your case now. Greeting and moaning at you, saying what he's doing, what he's up to. It shows all your flaws, and it shows decision making is no getting made for the bench. No proper decision making anyway. That's the way I look at it. Sorry guys, again I'm nearly away in a rant again.
That's all right, Isa. Standard.
I mean, it is frustrating, Oxford, but for me, I think tactically, Michael Beale's got it spot on in the European games. He's doing it right that way. But you can't play European tactics in the league that we're in, mate. You know, and if we were in any other league in the world, we probably would be all right. But the fact of the matter is, we play in Scotland, right? And if anybody is under the impression that Alex Dyer isn't going to come to Ibrox this weekend and try and do the exact same thing to us, then they're crazy, mate, because that's how everybody's going to set up. You know, Gary was mentioning we're on the wings too much. I actually think we're set up perfectly to play through the middle. And we don't do enough of it, mate. We don't do enough of it. You know, there isn't enough one-touch passing, things like that. But sometimes you've just got to roll your sleeves up, mate. And you've just got to play dirty and get the ball up into the box. Play for fouls. Get fouls run about the edge of the box if you can. As many corners, have as many shots. Just rack up the corners and the free kicks, mate. If you can't beat them in open play, you've got to start thinking of other ways. And the Barisic is absolutely deadly for free kicks, mate. And when we got that free kick in the 83rd minute, I thought, oh, here we go. This is it. But what I saved, the keeper pulled off. But it's things like that. That was our first free kick for a dangerous position in that full game. But we just don't do enough all round for me, Oxford. But tactically, Michael Beale is going to spot on in Europe. But you can't set up to play like that in Scotland, mate. It's impossible.
Stardog, was it not our only free kick from round about the box?
Bridgeman, you're probably spot on with that, mate. Aye, it probably was the only free kick we got round about the box. But my point is, why is that happening in the 83rd minute? Do you know what I mean? We should be trying to play for these things. We should be using these free kicks to our advantages. Because in my opinion, if Barisic gets a free kick outside the box, mate, it's as good as a penalty. It's as good as a penalty because he's always going to hit the target. He's always going to make the keeper work. And he's only going to be able to keep the ball at the net for so long. So for me, Rangers need to start thinking of ways to utilise this, mate, and getting Barisic and that onto the free kicks and then run about the box. Get balls lumped into the box. Tell everybody you don't want Ryan Jack passing sideways unless that's the only pass that's on. Everything must be forward. Golson and Hollander should not be allowed to pass the ball to each other, mate. They should be looking forward at all times. I mean, we're sitting in the 80th minute and they two are playing 1-2 passes with each other.
You can't say they can't pass the ball to each other. But they can't do it.
Well, they shouldn't be. Exactly, mate. That's my point. You shouldn't be allowed to unless there's nothing else on. In my opinion, you should always be looking to go forward.
When Bridge used to play, the manager used to say, "Don't pass it to Bridge." Bridge felt awful. You know what I mean?
A fine passer of a ball. Yeah. The Bridgeman was a fine passer of the ball.
Never actually go to anybody, but his passing was good.
Lovely.
Brilliant passer of the ball. Brilliant passer of the ball. Scored a lot of goals too, by the way, the Bridgeman. Scored a lot of goals too.
The ball was always the right way up when Bridge passed it to you.
A one-man wrecking machine. Bridge was.
But I get your point, Doug. I mean that's a disappointment. Just and albeit you're right in your summing up, Gary. I mean, but we are a tough crowd. We're sitting top of the week.
Aye, and that's it. Like I said, the last point there, that you can't criticise the team too much in a sense that we are sitting where we are. It would have just been nice to keep that wee bit of advantage going. But again, it's better doing it at the start of the season rather than at the end of the season. So hopefully that's gave the team a wee kind of heads up. And like I says, they'll know for this weekend what's coming. Well, you'd hope they know, but
we knew it was coming on Sunday. That's what disappointed us all. We knew it was coming. You know. I'm going to bring in Fox. Fox is very, very fair in his summing up and all. He watches the game closely. Maybe had a look at it 2 or 3 times. Fox, just part of the last word, because we're going to have to part Sunday's game at some point. Have people been overcritical? They've been fair, or in your opinion?
I think it's a major disappointment for the fans that we didn't win the game, but football's like that, guys. I mean, you get strange results, and we knew what was coming there. We'd be playing against 10 men behind the ball. Usually we can create a wee bit more than we did on Sunday, but we failed to do so. But it's not the end of the world. It's one game. The Tims have struggled against a low block. It's not just us, and it's not a run of games where we've struggled. If we struggle on Sunday, it might be a different point of view, but I think we'll overcome Kilmarnock even if they play the low block at Ibrox on Saturday, mate.
All right, so you don't see it as an overreaction, you just see it as a disappointment, is that what you're saying?
It's major disappointment for the fans, that's all.
All right, okay. So I don't have to go for Michael Beale's job then?
No, I think he's safe with you.
Thanks very much. I was going to get you into the bibs and cones.
The only bibs and cones I'll see is after ice cream, man, mate.
That's below the chief producer's pay grade for Oxshare, isn't it? That's below his pay grade. He's a top man. I heard you call him Fox. I don't even think we're allowed to call him Fox anymore. Is it no, Mr. Chief Producer?
The fresh air would do him the world a good, mate. Right, so we're going to have to move on at some time away from Sunday, but it was a major disappointment. Maybe not so much the result, albeit just the fact is that their goalie had about 1 save, maybe 2. If you have it and you have 6 or 7 worldies and you hit the post, kicked half the line, you shrug your shoulders and say, just one of the days, but wasn't it that, you know?
No, the disappointment, I'm not going to get it, I know we're parting it now, but the big disappointment is we've all seen it before. That's the real big disappointment. It was nothing new on Sunday. We've seen this before, and we've seen us playing like that since the turn of the year. So that's the bit that got to everybody. But as you say, if we're hitting bars and that keeper's pulling out unbelievable saves and things like that, you may go, well, okay, then it's just the way it goes. That just happens that way. But we weren't even creating it. And by the way, they weren't that physical either. I didn't feel that was the Livingston of last year. They weren't physical at all.
They were just standing in front of the boys, getting their shit and standing in front of them, yeah?
Well, that's it, just blocking you. It's so easy for them.
Right, so, Bridgeman, how do you break this low block then? If we're going to face it again on Sunday, how do you set up the team to break it? This week's gone. We're talking about a Saturday at Ibrox.
I think the manager has to come up with something a bit more cute. Let's call it cute. And something like 2 wide men out in the right, just for saying sake. 2 wide men out in the right. And you may be away with something there, you know, put Hadji and the what do you got, the big Nigerian boy, Aribo. Aye, but put they 2 out in the right and stay there and play with 4 up front, 5 up front, whatever you want to do, and make the breaks, force them to stay very, very defensive, because that's what they'll want to do anyway, I would assume. But one thing we just can't do on Saturday, is it Saturday? We can't allow them to pick the ball up inside their own area and march up the pitch 35 and 40 yards. We can't allow it. We have to. The rest of our midfield must be in there and take that ball off them, break the play up. We just can't allow it.
My forward line, Bridge, would be Morelos, Itten, Roof, with Aribo and Kent in behind them.
All right, so you're playing...
Aye, cool, Albert, cool.
So what's your defence in midfield then?
Well, what's that? 5. Jack and Kamara, 7, and 3 at the back. The 3 centre halves at the back. I'll drop Barisic and Tavernier and go with the forward player. Huh? It's one of these situations, by the way. It's one of these situations. We get a player playing good, but he doesn't fit the rest of the team. You're trying to get the whole team to play good. You can't just keep relying on one player. And Barisic at the moment is the best player, no doubt about that. He's a class player in the team. But let's see what we go on with changing the system. We keep saying change it, but then when we do change it, wait a minute, we can't change it that way. That's so radical.
How could you not play with Barisic playing on the left side of the 3 at the back then?
I'll even do that, mate. I even do that.
Okay, Stardug, I heard you fall off your seat there. Didn't you come?
Oh my mate, I'm just trying to scrape myself back up.
I'm just getting the letter wrote. All bears need to reach out and get drug tested in the morning. But carry on.
How could you? I can imagine I'm not the only guy listening to that. They're going falling after see Hank and Barisic. But I'll tell you who wouldn't have been my team next year, and I don't even think I need to ask you this. Hadji doesn't play for me, mate, this weekend. Hadji does not play for me. You've got to put Morelos out there with the boy hitting up front.
Oh, how you been fair? Hadji's one of my all-time favourites, mate.
Oh, he's right up there with Kenny Miller, isn't he?
I don't think they're doing the boy any favours playing him, mate. I think it's time for him to commit to the team and maybe come on and substitute me.
Like you said, Oxter, he was lucky to even come out in the second half on Sunday, mate. You know, I don't think he's bringing enough to the team. I said it for the game against Sunday. We're not getting enough out of the players that we've got in the pitch, mate. And for me, I know he likes to try fancy passes and that, but they don't come after him, Oxter. And he's done nothing for me in a Rangers jersey so far this year. So for me, mate, time for either big Kmart, Roof or Cedric Hitton to get a step there, Hadji. You know, Aribo plays for me, mate. Morelos plays, Kent plays. If he's fit, of course, if he's fit, mate. We don't want to rush him back either. Do you know what I mean? We don't want to have to rush these boys back. If he's not ready, then he's not ready. So be it. It'll be Arfield for me. But Hadji shouldn't play in this weekend, mate. I think he deserves a wee sit out.
All right, Gary. I'm a big fan of Hadji.
I would. I think for the sake of the boy, I think he needs a rest and. Well, not so much a rest. He's obviously not knackered, but
he needs trapped.
Yeah, he needs trapped. I would bring on Roof. I'd play Roof on the right. Aribo back in for Arfield. Still keep Ken, Alfie, Jack Kamara. Hopefully the big French boy, Jack, he's got to be back for Sunday.
Balogun.
Defender. Balogun, aye.
German, Nigerian.
I don't know.
He's a German Nigerian, mate. I think he is. He's German Nigerian, if there's such a thing. I hope Balogun's back.
Hopefully he's back, and then just obviously Barisic, Tav, and Golson. What about McGregor? How's he getting on? Is he back?
No,
is he still injured?
I've not heard anything about Alan McGregor, mate. But I'd be perfectly happy if Big McLaughlin stays between the sticks for me, mate. He's been absolutely solid. I don't think you even need to rush Alan McGregor back against the same with Joe Aribo. You don't want to rush these boys back, Gary. Do you know what I mean? If McGregor's not ready, then so be it. I'm delighted with Big McLaughlin so far. I actually think him and Big Balogun have been two of the finds in the Rangers team, definitely this season.
It was just the one after when he was too far off his line, and that boy had that halfway shot. I was just.
Could you imagine? Could you imagine?
I know. But
could you imagine if we get done with that?
I've got no qualms about him being in goal. But I think it would be good to see Roof get a run it on that right side and see what he can do.
Yeah, you got your team there, Oxter. Who are you playing up front? Is Hadji getting on your team?
Oh, Hadji's one of my all-time favourites. Fox. Bridgman, how are you doing this? You obviously play with 5 centre-halves.
5 centre-halves, aye. Very good. No, I think, listening to the boys tonight, listening to all of you tonight, it's been really interesting to a certain extent, I'm actually thinking now that some of our players are actually struggling with no crowd there. They're not getting to respond to. It's just my gut feel, you know. I think they would be a far better, far more impetus, far more concentrated if they had a crowd behind them. And that's just me saying. Now, there's other teams in the league, but they don't all have the same crowds as Rangers would ever have home and away. So I think there's maybe a loss there, a bit of drop, maybe concentration's lower. But that's just me thinking that. But the low block, I've said it before, we need to find a way. I personally don't know how they can find it. I've already come up and said that you stick 2 people, particularly wide right, because that their left back is always causes a bit of a problem. And we've got a really good forward player with Barisic and young Kent in the left there. I'm discounting Tavernier because Tavernier's a bit of a disappointment when he's attacking, general attacking, I mean. So I think they need to do something like that. And if we need Tavernier to run on and hit the ball 5 feet, 6 feet, let it rip, and see where it goes, see if it ricochets off someone.
If everybody's fit, apart from McGregor, I think Balogun might come back and start dogging, and then it'll be the back 4 with Barisic, Golson and Tav, and then you'll have Jack and Kamara playing, and then in front of them, ideally, it being Joe Aribo, collection money now, Roof on the right, Kent on the left, and Morelos up top.
Aye, that's a strong team, mate. And if you look at the front 4 players last year that you mentioned, they're all dynamic players. They all get the ball and they like to move forward with it, and they like getting goals as well. Hadji's too tippy-tappy for me, mate. Too tico-taco, if that makes any sense. Run about the box, a lot of fancy tricks in that. And it's
if you things aren't going well, you take Kamara or Jack off, Kamara,
you pat him on.
You put Eaton on, and you give Jack and tell him to sit more disciplined. Yeah, and that's what you do to change the system. I'll be our last word to you because you've been the star of the night.
Aye, I like to go radical. I mean, we're talking about radical. I like to go radical. Well, I mean, it's just a talking point, and I'm tongue-in-cheek, you know what I mean? But I just like to try something different. But as long as we don't do what we've done on Sunday now and go that flat, farting about, be dynamic, be imaginative, go for it. Don't hang back, go for it.
Well, gentlemen, we've reached that time in the evening. It's over to you, Bridgeman.
Oh, thank you, Oxshare. Can I just say congratulations, well done. A really, really good night tonight. Good discussions and a good laugh as well. But can I just say to all the Rangers fans all over the world, and particularly Rangers fans on here, on Rangers Radio, every single one is countdown to the weekend now. Every single one is keep it going for the Rangers, because the Rangers really need us, and we know it. Keep it going.
I thank Big Stevie for his sense of humour at the start of the show. Brilliant call. Tommy, who joined us for Airdrie. Gary, Albert, great to hear you. Great to have Stardog on and Bridgeman. Fox, of course. And, of course, Old School Blue doing the technicals in the background. This has been Rangers Radio. We'll be back tomorrow night when we're joined by George Logan's joining us on the show. George is always good on Rangers Radio, so it'll be great to hear from George. This has been Rangers Radio. Speak to you tomorrow night back at 9 o'clock. Talking about all things Rangers. Take it away, Old School Blue.
From a guy so young to Glasgow City, they come seeking fortune and a new way of life. How could they know their ambitions would grow? Such a beautiful story, and here's how it goes. Four lads had a dream to start a football team. They had no money, no kit, not even a ball. They still carried on. The Rangers were born. 54 titles, we're still going strong. Rangers were born. 54 titles, we're still going strong.